The reason why I want to start with final expense is I believe if you're not running final expense leads, you're missing the boat. I remember when I first started 3 years ago, we were only running, at least in my agency, we were only running mortgage protection leads. And what that meant is that if I had 3, 4 agents, 5 agents at most local, I now had too many agents because I didn't have leads for everyone. Guys, with final expense and all the different lead sources that we have in place right now, it's incredible, guys. Between Facebook, Secure Agent, social insurance leads, EverQuote, like we literally could probably get each agent 50, 60 brand new leads each. And I probably can take care of 100 agents local, no problem. I could literally be doing $1 million a month in this local area just on final expense. Other companies are already doing it. But yet, let's talk about like the mindset you need to have going into a final expense appointment, even starting out on the phones, where if you're talking to a final expense, a client on the phone, again, you got to know that these guys have been conditioned by family, by friends, by just experience that people are going to try to take advantage of them because they're older. So you got snake oil salesmen out there trying to be slick, trying to rip people off. That's not us. We're just trying to help them. So I keep it as straight as I can. Like when I'm on the phone with them, I get right to the point. I'm getting back to you. You fill out a form about protection that in the event you pass away, that you don't leave somebody stuck. Hey, do me a favor, Mary. Who's the person that would be left picking up the pieces in the event of your death? What's that person's name? Who is it? It's Mary. All right. So it's Mary. Write down Mary. Now on your lead, you already have Mary. So now when you book that appointment, you get out there, you already know their beneficiary, the person that's going to be left picking up the pieces, is Mary. So you have that on your lead already. You're walking into a house, you got one up on them already. All right. Now, when I say one up, every single thing a person tells you is ammunition for you to use so that you have the information you need to help them make a wise decision. I hope you understand that. It's not, I'm trying to get over on people. We want to help people, okay? So when I'm walking right into a final expense appointment, it's exactly the same as when I'm walking into a mortgage protection appointment. I'm taking my shoes off. I'm sitting right down at the table. But with this one, I really don't beat around the bush. I literally get straight to it. And I'm like, hey, listen, real quick, you fill this out for only one of 3 reasons. The first one is that you had maybe really good insurance at work. When you retired, you lost it, or you're about to retire and you're going to lose it. The second one is that you literally have no insurance whatsoever, and God forbid you die tomorrow, you're going to leave Mary stuck. She's going to be stuck without help and without being able to take care of it. The last one is that you got a little bit, I always say, you got a little bit of insurance, but you don't have enough. Which one is it? And I wait, because if you give people a choice, they're going to choose. Everything I do is for a reason. So they're going to choose one. They didn't have any insurance, because most people don't. And guys, the funny thing is the people that think they have insurance, they don't even know what they have. Too many people, they're going to swear up and down. I had this happen. Yes, it happened last night, where somebody said, hey, we got whole life. We're already taken care of with whole life. Okay, buddy, do me a favor, grab the application. No, I don't know where it is. I need you to go grab it, because most people don't know what they have. And the problem is, if you don't know what you have, you don't know what you have. That's scary. So do me a favor, go grab it. I'm going to take a couple minutes and look at it for you for free, just to make sure what you think you have is what you have. 9 times out of 10, people think they have whole life, they have term. People think they have term, they have accidental. Get the policy. We looked at the policy. It was an accidental policy. I don't know how you confuse whole life with accidental, but guess what? They do. Guys, we're the professionals. We need to actually take control in the house. Let them know how this is going to work. I'm here to protect you. You fill this out because you know you don't have real coverage, all right? So going back to that, they don't have coverage, guys. I'm going right into it, and I'm like, hey, you know what? Do me a favor. Have you ever been responsible for taking care of someone's funeral? Or has someone close to you passed away and you actually got to deal with that? Well, first thing you got to realize, these people are 55, 60, 65, 70. So 9 times out of 10, they've had a mother or father. At least one of them's not living anymore. And they've had to experience that. And I'll ask them and say, hey, Were you actually responsible for taking care of everything and picking up the pieces? And they say, yes. In that case, I ask them another question. I'm digging deep. And I'm saying, hey, just to ask, did they have coverage? And only one of two things can happen. They either went through a horrible experience where the person didn't have any coverage whatsoever, and it was literally horrible. They were trying to piece together money, going around like chickens with their head cut off, embarrassing their family, right? Or the person took care of business and they actually had a policy in place and their family was protected. So that can only go one of two ways. Either way, it's going to help you, because if someone had coverage in place, they already understand the power and the benefits of having coverage because somebody took care of them and didn't leave them stuck. If somebody left them stuck, the pain of somebody leaving them stuck is something that they don't want to leave on somebody else. So let me get this right. You want to make sure that, God forbid, if something happens to you, that Mary's covered and she doesn't have to worry about taking care and picking up the pieces? Yes, that's correct. So I'll even sometimes say, hey, you know what, let me ask you, is Mary rich? Is she doing really, really good, like she's really well off? And they'll most of the time say no. And then if they say yes, and I'll say, oh, cool. So you want to make sure you take care of this so that she's still you're not a burden on her, right? And then they say yes. Here's the deal, guys. I say to everybody, guys, you're in the same generation as my mom. And I know exactly. Tell me if I'm wrong or not, okay? You come from the generation where you literally took care of everyone your entire life, and you don't want to be a burden on anyone. Is that right? Oh my gosh, yes. How'd you know? Because I know. Because my mom's the same way. I literally bought this big old house so she can come live with us. And you know what she says? No, I can't live with you yet. I'm gonna live with you when I can't do it by myself, because I don't want to be a burden on you. She's not realizing she's not a burden. I wanted her to be there. The kids want her there. But she thought she was a burden. I'll say that to the clients, and they understand, and they feel it. Right from that, guys, I'll real quick just go over the client worksheet, which for time's sake, I'm not going to do it today. But you're going over, and I'll say to them, hey, real quick, no one wants to talk about death, but we need to talk about it. There's two things nobody likes to talk about. One is death and one is finances. We need to talk about both of them, because I need to know, God forbid, when you pass away, what that's going to look like for your family, okay? So I'll take the time out. I'll go over the client worksheet. Again, we're not going to go over that right now. But then right after the client worksheet, guys, I really want to make it real. I want to make it real that they're actually, going to die one day. And the cool thing is, these clients at their age, they know they're going to die one day. If you're not using this, again, you're dropping the ball. They're free. Final expense, final wishes planning guides from America are the best. So I use these. Some other companies have them, but I'll prefer this one. What I'll say to someone is I'll say, hey, you know what? What all our clients actually get, once we get you started, we're going to make sure that we got you, this final wishes planning guide. I'll first ask them, hey, do you have one of these? Everyone says no, all right? So when they say no, I'd say, hey, you know what? This is perfect. I'm going to help you with this. First things first, this says right here to my family members and friends, I've taken care of all the crap that nobody wants to deal with, because no one wants to take care of that stuff, guys. And I'll open it up and literally go through page by page with them and say, hey, look, on this page is all the personal information that your family's going to need in order to get a death certificate for you. So our job is to make Mary's life easy. Now, I keep using Mary because that's the person left picking up the pieces. Our job is to make sure that Mary's job is easy and we don't leave all the burden on her taking care of everything. So all that's there. Your funeral request. Literally, you can choose your funeral director, your funeral home, the church that you want to go to. Then I'll say, hey, you know what? You can even choose your pallbearers. Who you want to be your pallbearer? Now, for example, when my Aunt Tina passed away, believe it or not, just putting family business out a little bit, but it got a little emotional between the sisters. Even little small stuff like, the dress that she wore. So how about you don't have to deal with that, and you can actually choose the clothes that you want to wear. Guys, how personal is this making it? I'm literally talking about them choosing out what they're going to wear to their funeral, the flowers, the flower arrangements that they want to have, the donations that they want to make to different organizations. here, and then I'll even talk about, hey, you know what, in certain families, like, you know, some of the kids go back and forth. Well, I don't want mom to be cremated. Well, we want to do this or we want to do that. How about you make it easy for everyone so there's no going back and forth, no bickering. We can actually choose earth burial, cremation, mausoleum. You can choose everything that you wanted down to the T, all in this book. Now, this is another thing, guys. Now, I know you said that, did you grow up around here? No. You grew up in North Jersey. Okay, cool. So, for example, you may still have friends up there. You want them to know where, you know, that you passed away. You can actually choose the different places that you want your obituary to be seen. So you can have North Jersey, you can have here, you can have somewhere else. You choose that. You also choose family members that you want to be notified, so that you want, you know, these people to be notified that something happened to you. Maybe we need to fly them in. Maybe we need to let them know, hey, they need to come up for your funeral and take some time off of work. And I'll get to that later as well. So all these are family members, more family members. Now, here's important, legal documents. Now, I mean, literally it has where's your will, your birth certificate, marriage certificate, military records, your passports, the deed to the house. Literally everything is in here for your family so they know exactly what they need to do. Now, I'm sure you've heard of literally there being billions of dollars of unclaimed money when it comes to life insurance, and money sitting in special savings accounts or safety deposit boxes or under mattresses. Guys, you can literally put down every checking account that you have, every savings account that you have, your IRAs, your 401ks, your different investment accounts. Make sure your family knows where stuff is, because without that, they won't have access to the money and it'll literally sit there. They'll need money and won't have it. We don't want that. And guys, the most important page in this whole book is page 14. Now on page 14, this is where you're gonna write down, I have coverage with Americo. My policy number is this. Bryan Mendenhall is my agent, and your beneficiary is Mary. See, here's what's important about this page. God forbid when something happens to you, your family's gonna know that automatically they need to reach out to me, because I'm literally gonna put my foot on the insurance company's throat to make sure that they get this money fast, because guess what? Your family's gonna be going through the roughest time they've ever dealt with. They just had to bury their mother. They literally just buried their mom. The last thing they wanna worry about is finances and having to take care of this. So literally the most important page is page 14. When I go over that, guys, I mean, they've about pictured themselves in a casket. And, you know, they also realize that I got their back. I'm there for them. So if something happens, bam, it's all here. I'm going to step up. I'm going to be the person to deliver the money and make sure the family's taken care of. Now, I'll also tell them, guys, do me a favor. Make sure you fill this out, because it's great to have the information, to have the book, but if it's not filled out, it's worth nothing. The next thing I do is I take this book. Now the client may be sitting right here next to me. I take this book and I set it over here. That book just built so much value. That's free, but it's doing so much for the family. It's taking so much burden away. It's a free book that built a ton of value, but they want it now as well. Okay? Now, the last thing I'm doing is I'm kind of, you know, solidifying everything that what we do in final expense, like what I'm doing for a client. I'm going over that because I don't want them to be misunderstood. Like there's a lot of, and I tell them, there's a lot of products that you need to be careful with. I don't think there's a bad product. I think there are some bad agents that don't do a good enough job of explaining what exactly you're getting. There's some products out there that the rates go up on you as you get older, meant to screw you over, and to the point where when you need it most, you can't afford it. They're not good. There's companies that, and this sounds horrible, but there's some companies that you'll actually be making the same monthly payment every month, but your face amount, as you get older, they lower your face amount down to the point where now you got $1 or $2 grand. What's your family gonna do with that? I want them to understand exactly what they're gonna get. So I actually wrote out a little form, and it's just a little paper that I show them. And the paper says, hey, you know, Final expense burial coverage, it basically covers anywhere from, your funeral, which is, can be 15 to 20,000, but can go all the way up to 30 to 40,000. Because remember we talked about maybe having to fly family up, maybe having to bring people, maybe people have to take a couple weeks off of work. You think, God forbid, you die tomorrow, you think Mary could go back to work tomorrow? I still remember when my grandmother passed away, like I was real close with my grandma. I was in 5th grade, but I remember, like, I literally didn't go to school for like 3-4 weeks, almost like a month. But some people get hit hard. So could you imagine that Mary couldn't go to work for a couple weeks, maybe a month or two? When she probably needs some extra income that, she could float the bills on top of taking care of your funeral. So that's where the final expense can go all the way up to 30 or 40,000. Final expense coverage alleviates the financial burden placed on the family. What you need to know is the coverage is permanent. Now, what I mean by that is permanent. It's going to literally cover you till you're 121 years old. You can't outlive that. I mean, unless medicine, God wants you to live that long, but 121 years is a long time. Now, hear me out. This is important to know. Remember, I said there's different products out there, and you got to be careful. If you qualify, your rate, and I'm showing them this, if you qualify, your rate will never increase. Your monthly payment never changes. But what's more importantly is your benefit never decreases, so it will never go down. That's what you want. Now, this is very important as well. Now, do you know anything about insurance? Most people, they don't. And I've talked to them a little bit about this maybe in the beginning as well. But the difference between term and whole life is term. You literally miss one monthly payment, they'll cancel you. You're done, okay? What I will explain to a client is as you have this policy, well, I'll just read here. It says, if for any reason in the future, and I always say, let's say 10 years from now, in the future, God forbid you came across hard times, a rough patch in your life, and finances got tight. Well, God forbid in the future, this program has a cash accumulation account that can literally help you cover your monthly payments in the future so you won't lose your policy. So for example, what that means is every time you're making a monthly payment into this policy, it takes a small portion and it puts it into a savings account with the insurance company for you. So in case you ever have anything come up, you at least get to keep your coverage. You won't get canceled. You still have your policy. Now, that's not for, the first 2, 3, 4, 5 years. I would say let it grow as long as you can. And if you ever have to fall back on it, you can. You know at least that this coverage will be here when you need it most. Now, let me go over the options for you. Guys, at this point, they've heard everything they need to hear. They already filled out the form because they wanted to get insurance. You were so straight with them. You kept it real with them. You didn't pull wool over their eyes. You didn't try to make it so complicated that they were confused. They understood exactly what it was. I go over my options and I say, hey, you know what? I got a few options for you. The first option is, remember we were talking about where, God forbid, if Mary couldn't go back to work, tomorrow, like nothing happened, she needs some additional income. So here, we got $30,000. This $30,000 will literally, if your funeral is 15 to 20 grand, it gives her about another 10K, 10 to 15K where she could do whatever she needed to, taking care of any other expenses that pop up, because I guarantee things will pop up, mortgage payments, other bills. People are going to come out. When you die, everyone comes out for money. So that's the first one. The next one is $25,000, a little less, but it still gives some extra coverage. And then we have 20,000, okay? Here's the different options. Which one makes the most sense for you? I sit back and I wait. And if I've done my job, you can't tell me if you've done all that these people won't go ahead and want to make a decision to, first off, get insurance with you because they trust you. They can tell that you've been legit with them, straight up with them from the rip. And, you've given them all the information that they need to make a wise decision. So that's pretty much my breakdown on final expense, guys. Start getting final expense leads if you're not doing it. I believe it's the simplest thing that we do. I'm going to get into some mortgage protection next. All right, guys.
And I'll tell you, when you listen to Bryan talk about the things that he says with clients and the things that he challenges them on and the way that he communicates with them, when clients know you genuinely care, you can do that. So I promise you it works. Great job. Now I'm gonna pass it back. So Bryan give us his last segment today on mortgage protection. And I think the thing for most of us. Somebody asked me the other day, what percentage of our clients do you think are first-time home buyers? Like this is like meaning like they're not first-generation home buyers, I should say. I said, I don't know the numbers of that specifically, but I know I've done this for a very long time, and I've met with a lot of folks that don't know how to protect what has now become their biggest, or as one client said to me, it's my only asset, even though you've made 2 payments, not an asset yet. You're hoping it will be one, but Bryan's going to enlighten you on what he does in the home, mortgage protection, sales, and how he's so unbelievably effective and how you can be as effective as he is.
All right, guys. So going over mortgage protection, what I will tell you is, obviously there is the call to close video. So I'm not going to go detail with, some of the stuff that I do. I'm going to talk more about mindset. I do believe that being prepared, having a plan, having a structured system that you use in the house is going to be important. If not, they're going to walk all over you. They're going to take control of you instead of you taking control of the appointment. In no way, shape, or form am I like bossy or commanding. I literally care about the people, but I'm trying to help them in the best way possible, okay? What I will tell you is, and some people, I think this is where you drop the ball, and in dropping the ball here, you might as well just kind of stop, is the client worksheet. Guys, with the client worksheet, I believe, I think Linda Lempasso made this one. I just believe this one has literally all the information you need to help them, again, make a wise decision. And I don't know if any of you probably heard me talk about this before, but when you're going through the client worksheet in the beginning, this is literally Disneyland, because it's the beginning. Everything's cool. They like you already. You shake hands with them. They trust you now. You took your shoes off at the front door. You built a little rapport. They got you something to drink. You're a guest in their house. And, everything's happy-go-lucky, and you're just getting the information from them. But this is the time where they're telling you stuff like breaking down each one of their incomes. They're telling you, stuff like what they do for a living, how it might be physical labor work. They're telling you stuff like, something important that some people don't ask this question. Are you doing anything aggressively to try to pay the mortgage off? They're telling you stuff. I always ask the question, hey, how much are you guys trying to save every month? They're telling you all these things where they're just telling you because you said in the beginning, again, if you watch the Call to Close series, that you need to talk to them about some things. You want to talk to them about some things that most people aren't comfortable with. One being death, the other one being finances. So now you've got permission to talk to them about all these things, but they're giving you all this information that you're writing down, and it's opening up a bigger picture. Because once you have it's actually giving you, I feel like, it's giving you the paintbrush and all the paint for you to paint the picture. I just thought of that. I like that. But it's giving you all the information so you can paint the picture that, if something happens to these guys, here's the picture. And guys, I really just believe like the more clear you make it, the clearer they see why they need this coverage. See, here's the one thing that I don't ever get confused about. And I would never, first off, I would never fill out a form. So I would never fill out the form. So I'm clear on like you coming to me would be weird because I'm not the person that you'd be talking to. But I'm 100% sure that anybody that took the time out to fill this form out, guess what? They need your help. They took the time to fill it out. See, I try to think a little deeper about what it takes to actually fill out a mortgage protection form. Like you get it in the mail, okay? And I think some of you might take this for granted a little bit, but they get it in the mail, they see it. It says in the event of a death, disability, or critical illness, they read it because they can read. They take a pen, they fill it out, right? 2 numbers, 3 numbers sometimes. They tell you if they want you to contact them in the AM or PM, and then they fold it up It's free for them to mail out, okay? But they mail it back to you. They've gone through all those steps because they want help. There's more though. Then they had to wait about a week or so, and then I called them. I booked an appointment with them, and now they got me sitting in front of them. So I'm 100% sure that they want my help. They need my help. And what I do is, guys, I take pride in, like, if I'm going in the house, guys, I'm going to give it my all. Like, why would you not? We're giving it my all. What I mean is I'm going to lay it all on the line. And I'm going to lay it all on the line for the family. Because no matter what, you just got to look at it like they don't have nobody else fighting for them. Who do they have fighting for them? They don't. So when I go in the house, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that I'm going to protect that family. That's getting all the information and then telling stories and asking questions. Every single story, I'm going to break down just a couple of things. Like every single story I tell in the house is for a reason. So like obviously, like when I'm breaking down and I'm telling the client like, hey, this is what I do. I do mortgage protection, but I'm not just that guy. I do all these things, final expense. I do regular term. I do college savings plans. I do retirement income planning. I do tax-free retirement. And you know what? You're stuck with me now. I'm going to help you today, but after I help you today, guess what? We got some more stuff we need to talk about. Like I'm trying to set it up for the future. When I'm talking to them about who I am, guys, you got to imagine like, I don't trust just everybody, okay? But if somebody did come in my house for whatever they're doing, and for example, my house, it was bringing a little bit of moisture in when we first bought it. They probably knew about it, but we didn't know. So I ended up spending like $8,000 to have them come in and do French drains and all this stuff. I met with about 4 people. And the 4 people I met with, the first 3, I was like, no, like I knew nothing about these guys. They could have been killers. I didn't know anything about them. And I didn't trust them because I knew nothing about them. The 4th guy, man, he was coming in, he was showing me pictures of his family. You know, he let me know where he grew up. And like, some people think that stuff is corny. But guess what? If that dude wanted to talk to me about, you know, a little bit about his background, I wasn't giving him $8,000. Actually, I think he was a little higher than some of the other people, but I just believed in what he was talking about, so I went with him. It's the same thing, guys. I'm breaking down. I'm telling them where I'm from, where I was raised. I was raised by a single mom. You know, what that meant to me, how hard my mom worked. Like, that stuff is important. People want to hear that stuff. How, like, I love what I do. I literally love what I do. And, guys, I got to tell you, like, some people say, well, how do you, seem like you care so much about the clients? Because I actually care. Because I really want to make a difference. If you don't believe in life insurance, I believe that you won't be able to do this. I believe that if you don't love helping people, I believe you won't be able to do this. Because some people are going to be pains in the butts. They are. Some people are. But sometimes you got to get over that, get over the way you feel, because you need to be doing the right thing for the clients. And I do that. I'm also telling them, like, at this point, guys, I've had 17 clients pass away. 17 families went through losing a loved one. Someone's not there anymore that is real. So to me, I take it deadly serious. And they can understand that I take it serious because I've seen 17 families crying, 17 families upset, and 17 families me delivering a check to, making a difference in their life. So I'm talking about it. I'm showing them pictures of my family. Like, why would you not do that? Like, are you so secretive that you don't want people to know you got a beautiful family? Or if it's just you and your dog, show them a picture of you and your dog. At least let them know who they're dealing with. That lets them know that you're a real person. Those of you that want to go in the house and just be so super, professional and like robotic, that doesn't work. That reminds me of that bank commercial. Like, that doesn't work. You got to be a real person. I try my hardest to just be as real as I possibly can in the house. Sometimes almost too real. I almost scare people, but guess what? I'd rather somebody see that than to see somebody that's fake, because they're not going to go with you when you're fake. Obviously, telling the story about my aunt, guys, the power in that is everybody you sit with has life insurance through their job, 90% of people. And they all need to know that it's crap. They all need to know that work insurance never pays out because no one really dies while they're working. They need to hear that story because that story was very impactful. It changed, I still feel like my cousin Marcus literally would have a house that's paid off right now, cash, if she had a mortgage protection product. But she didn't. And I feel like, when I tell them I let the family down, I'm subconsciously telling them, like, I let my family down, but I'm not going to let your family down. You're going to get this coverage today. I'm not letting your family down. That's my aunt's story. Then, guys, I'm breaking down, like, I work with all these different companies and all that stuff. But more importantly, when I'm breaking down the stories are what really sell, guys. I talk to so many people, like, how can you tell that story? Guys, I tell that story because it works. When I'm breaking down and I'm literally breaking down that husband being late, the wife being stressed, her not hearing from him, her texting, her calling, now reaching out to work, now reaching out to the parents with still no answer. I'm putting her in that person's shoes. I'm painting that picture so clear that she sees herself in that situation. That when that knock at the door comes, and that bloody driver's license comes out, and she's got to identify her husband, and then I got to look at her and ask her, what's the plan? What are you going to do? Guys, that's serious. The tension gets so thick, it's not even funny. And here's the thing. On this client worksheet, they've already told me everything I need to know. See, I already know that now when Bob doesn't show up, he doesn't make it home, Mary can't survive. Vice versa. I can flip the story. It doesn't matter. Either way, it's so real. See, these people just need you to define the reality that when something happens, not if something happens, that when something happens, they're going to be okay because they chose to have a plan to protect them. Guys, that's so huge if you just think about that. Another story, like if you're sitting with a single person, see, I think the couples are easy, but I think single people with the plans that we have nowadays, guys, I just believe are the easiest. Because remember, they still filled it out because they need help. In the beginning, before I really knew about living benefits, man, I was thinking that person's kind of hard because they're not around. When they die, so what? Whoever's left, sometimes they don't have anybody they care about. I want to leave the house too. But they always care about themselves, don't they? Guys, I tell a story about a girl named Jen. And now this story is, 9 years old now. I heard it 9 years ago. But there was a girl, Jen, that one day and I'll tell this to a client when I'm sitting with one person. There was a girl named Jen, 25 years old. She wakes up with a really, really bad migraine headache, like it's killing her, to the point where like she's throwing up, to the point where she can't walk. She's really sick. She ends up, going to the hospital, and they tell her that she has a brain tumor and that there's nothing that they can do for her, nothing at all. 25 years old, 3 kids, and a husband. They basically give her a death sentence and say, hey, you know what, you're dead. There's nothing we can do for you. They gave her like 6 months. The cool thing is her husband said, you know what, babe? Remember the insurance guy came out and there was a program that, remember if you had a terminal illness, they would give you a certain amount of money. I don't remember the amount. Boom. Oh, it was 75%. So she had a $250,000 policy, but she was able to access 75% of that in the event of a terminal illness. Guess what happened? They were able to access this money. She actually ended up going to India. And in India, they were doing some brain surgeries that they wouldn't allow here. And without that capital, having that $200,000 something dollars, she wouldn't have been able to have that surgery. Now, here's the craziest thing about that story. That story is 9 years old, and Jennifer's still living. Because of a policy that she literally paid $112 a month for, $80 a month, or whatever it was, she's still living. Do you see the power in that story? Most people don't end up losing their houses because they're dying, because they had some insurance maybe, right? Most people end up losing their houses because of a sickness, because of an illness. Guys, what you got to understand is that people live up to here. I've been there, trust me. People live up to here. And if you're making you have 100% of your income and you're already tight. If you go to 60% of your income on disability, how are you going to survive then? You are literally a walking ATM. I always ask people, what is your biggest asset? Everyone says, well, my house. No, you're wrong. Your biggest asset is the ability to go earn money. You are a walking ATM. Could you imagine, like, we have to have car insurance, but if you had one ATM, which is your body for the rest of your life, why would you not protect that? It makes a lot of sense, guys. These are some of the things that I'm thinking of, and these are some of the things that are so powerful. Guys, it's just, you got to have, well, here's what I say. You got to care enough about people to not care if they think a certain way about you, if they're judging you. See, most people won't tell crazy stories or say certain things or challenge people in the house because guess what? You care about being judged. You care what they think. See, I've had calls from people, and this is in the beginning, but I've had calls from people that I've left business cards at their house and didn't cover them. And it felt like crap because they desperately, hey, Bryan, I'm looking at your card. My father, you know, he had your card and I'm hoping that he got a policy with you. We can't find it here, but I'm hoping that he has a policy with you. And I'm going through and I don't find one because it was one of the people that wanted to think about it. Here's the thing, guys. When that happens to you, you're going to absolutely feel like crap. Unless you've done everything in your power to leave it all on the table and do the right thing by these families. So, guys, challenge yourself to get uncomfortable. Challenge yourself to say whatever you need to say that's ethical and, you know, without telling a lie, but say whatever you need to say to that family to make sure that you protect them. It's our job. Like, your only job is to go in and help that family that asks for your help. That's why you're there. Go do your job. Guys, I appreciate you for allowing me to be on. Hopefully some of that stuff, hopefully it delivered. And the combination of you being able to listen to this, you can kind of hear my breakdown on why I said some of the stuff that I said, and then put it together with the Call to Close series. Hopefully this helps you guys. Thanks for allowing me to share, Sean. Everybody, appreciate you guys. Take care.